Here's another example of solving systems of equations. Okay. I like to write my goal. The whole goal for solving for systems of equations is finding the point of intersection. Okay, so I'm going to put a box around my original equations and my answer that will eventually go right there. Okay, step 1 on my success checklist, if you're following along on your notes, says pick a variable to solve for. I like to pick a variable that is having no coefficient, like this one right here, so that I don't have to divide. Now you can pick any coefficient from any equation, any variable from any equation, and you will end up with the same answer if you do your math correctly. Okay. I just like to take note that in this situation, if I pick the y, I'll have an easier time. So I'm going to copy my equation, and I'm going to solve for y, so I need to add 5x on both sides. Okay, so y equals 13 plus 5x. Circle, and I have solved for my variable. So my next step would be to substitute into my other equation. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in this equation over here. So I'm going to copy my equation, then I'm going to take my value for y and put it in there. Okay, negative 3x, make sure my negative is nice and big so I don't forget it, plus 3 open parentheses, then I can put the y in there, so 13 plus 5x equals 3. Okay, now I can go ahead and simplify. Remembering my PEMDAS, I'm going to start with parentheses, P for parentheses. Nothing I can do with the 3x yet, so I'm going to copy it down so it doesn't get lost. Plus 39 plus, don't forget to distribute all the way across, 15x equals 3. Okay, and then I can simplify further by putting my x's together. So 15 minus 3x is going to be positive 12x plus 39 equals 3. Subtract 39 on both sides. Then I get 12x equals negative 36. I divide by 12 on both sides. And I get a negative 3. Okay, so now I have my answer for x, and I have to remember my goal over here. X, whoops, I was about to write x for x. Okay, x value is 3. We could do is put x up here and y. So we remember we're looking for the x and the y. Okay, so now we've solved for that one. My next step, we're on step 5, substitute for the other variable. So we're going to take our value of x equals negative 3, and we're going to plug it into an equation that we have up here. I'll pick this one, and then use that to find our y. Okay, so let's copy the equation. 5x plus y equals 13. Negative 5, open parentheses, substitute my value, negative 3 plus y equals 13. Okay, negative 5, negative 3, 15 plus y equals 13. Subtract 15 from both sides, and I have y equals negative 2. So my solution needs to go up here, negative 2. Now, these two lines if I graph them, they should cross at -3, -2. And that's my solution to this systems of equations, is where those lines intersect. Okay, next we're going to graph them to make sure that we did this correctly. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the answer that we just got, which was -3, -2. And let's see if that works out for us here. Sorry about that. See if that works for us here. Okay, so first step to graphing equations. I cannot graph them in standard form, which is how they are now. They need to be y equals mx plus b, so that I know my intercept and I know my slope. So let's just switch them around first. So I have -5x plus y equals 13, and I need to add 5x on both sides. So I'm going to have y equals positive 5x plus 13. And then my other one is -3x plus 3y equals 3. Add 3x on both sides. Then I have 3y equals positive 3x plus 3. Divide everything by 3. Y equals x plus 1. Okay, now I have a few options. I'm noticing that my y-intercept is plus 13. That's a big graph. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to graph by 2's. I'm going to put my graph here, set it up. And I noticed I have a positive intercept and I have a positive intercept. My points are close to the origin. So I'm going to go ahead and make my graph look just like that. Okay, now remember, we're checking ourselves with this graph just to make sure if we did this algebraically correctly. Okay, so if I'm counting by 2's, I'm going to say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and so on. Okay, and the same thing down here. Okay, now let's start by graphing this line right here. Plus 13, okay, let's not get that confused. That's not 13 squared. It's positive 13. It should be right here between the 12 and the 14. Okay, then I have a slope of 5. So I have to remember, half a square counts as 1. A whole square counts as 2. So I'm going to count my slope carefully. Okay, I'm going down, or I'm sorry, I could go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 1. That's my point, should be right there. Okay, and I'm going to go back the opposite way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. So my point should be right there. Okay, so here's my point right on that spot right there. Then I'm going to go again down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. So I've got my point. That's a good sign. It's -2, 3 does cross in that spot. Now let's graph my other line here. Positive 1 is just right there. Positive x is up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So it's just right there. So I'm going to go down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. Okay, and my line goes right through that point. -2, 3. That's X marks the spot. So it looks like we did this correctly.